There comes a point in every critic's career, we'll say, where they reach certain milestones. Spaceman Hardy over at Anime Monday just reached 3 years of streaming. The boys at the 5 Point Podcast just reached their 50th episode. Hell, our cat over at Glass Reflection just did his 100th review. Now it's my turn to step into the milestone area. That's right, guys. 50 episodes of Lilac anime reviews. Well, episodes or reviews or whatever you want to call it. Whichever works. Still, 50th review. Today, I don't know what I'm going to do today. It needs to be something good, something awesome, something exciting, something... Okay. Better get this review under... What the hell? Why am I wearing this and... Oh, god damn it. I've heard of dressing up for the occasion, but not like this. Hello? Can I change back now? Come on. God damn it, where are my glasses? Speedgrapher is an original 24-episode action supernatural romance series from Studio Gonzo in April 2005. A manga and a light novel adaptation came out that same summer, and both were licensed by Tokyopop, which means more than likely they're going to be out of print. In the case of the series, it's licensed in the US by FUNimation Entertainment, in the UK it's licensed by MVM Films, and in Australia it's licensed by Madman Entertainment.
It's been over a decade since the bubble war, when the global economy burst, and the insiders who held the needle pulled out early, and swooped in like vultures to eat the remains at a fraction of the cost. You know the drill. The rich got richer, the poor were out of luck. Welcome to Tokyo, the city where all the winners came to jerk each other off. If you got enough money, you can buy anything your sick mind can dream of. If you don't, you just try not to get crushed beneath the wheels. In a city like this, there's not a single thing worth the cost of my film.
Burned-out ex-war photographer Saiga thought his life couldn't get any more dull, selling his soul as a tabloid photographer, trading the rush of bullets whizzing past his head for a quick buck. While on one of these paparazzi assignments, Saiga stumbles directly into the ultimate den of vice, where the goddess is preparing to bestow a dangerous gift upon a willing victim. Running from his enemies and fleeing his own inner demons, Saiga rescues a tragic young girl named Kagura from her own nightmarish life. The girl is full of secrets possibly even hidden from herself. The animation for Speedgrapher is by Gonzo, and they have a tendency to have hit-or-miss series animation-wise. Some of the better-known ones, in my opinion, are Last Exile and Gonkotsubo, while the more missed ones being Welcome to the NHK for obvious reasons.
What the f***?
If we were to look at Speedgrapher based on its animation, I'd say it's more along the lines of Gonzo's average series. Nothing too spectacular and nothing too horrendously bad. This is a blessing and a curse because the good animation seems to end up in the first half of the series. Once we get into the second half, the animation becomes sloppier and much more lazy. This is where it leans more into NHK bad territory. However, all is not lost in the second half because there are some memorable episodes such as Sweet Tengu's backstory that can be quite wonderful. As for the soundtrack, it isn't terrible, but I believe there are only 1 or 2 tracks that I would be willing to listen to again, making it forgettable overall. Moving on to the story, what do I say about the story? I don't really know what kind of story this is. There's a lot of plot lines and various plot holes that it takes me out of the overall series. It has so many ideas that it wants to bring in, but very few actually come to fruition. There are some advantages to certain areas of the story. The biggest factor, and I will get into this more in a minute, is the story of our show's villain, Choji Sweet Tengu. His story is one of the very few solid successes in the series. Everything else involving the story just fell a little short, and again, just took me out of the series as a whole. Character-wise, some characters were really well developed, and others not so much. On the not-so-much side, we have our main female lead, Kagura Tenozu. Her basic story is that she's a damsel in distress, and that's about it. There's nothing more significant about her to make her into a memorable character, and I was really hoping for something more. Also relatively close to the lower end is our main male character, Tatsumi Saiga. Granted, he has a lot more than Kagura, however, it is more recycled rather than adding anything new, and this is greatly disappointing. All is not lost in the character development area because we have a very, very interesting villain at Speedgrapher's core. Sweet Tango gets the most development out of anyone in the series, getting even an episode of backstory in the latter half of the series. Through that one episode, you can feel so much sympathy for the character to the point where you want to side with him and hope he gets what he wants by the end. Certainly one of my favorite characters of the series along with Ginza. However, I love Ginza for a different reason.
Self-defense, self-defense.
Voice acting wise, after watching the dub that Funimation put out there, I have some mixed feelings. Granted, this dub was probably made around 2006-2007 after the huge success of Fullmetal Alchemist. Starting from the top, we have Christopher Sabat and Monica Rial as the leads Saiga and Kagura, respectively. With Rial, she's a good damsel in distress, but there were some moments where I didn't feel like that it fit. This may be a product of bad writing, but it just didn't seem to work that well. As for Sabat as Saiga, I've seen him do better. I know he had a lot of fun as Saiga, but personally, this isn't his best work to me. I actually find him more amusing in Fruits Basket and Sergeant Frog instead of Speedgrapher. He is versatile, I'll give him that, but Saiga just didn't do it for me.
So sweet and perfect boyfriend material.
How sweet of you to say, my darling. It's strange that you would even bring it up because I was just thinking about how perfect we would be together, you know, just...
Surprisingly, there are 3 stand-up performances. The first being Greg Ayres as Sujito. Normally, I tend to harp on Ayres in the same typical voice he tends to use for every single role he's in. However, he uses this and twists it just enough to make this character into a sophisticated thug. Okay, Greg Ayres, this now makes up for you playing Ginta in Dead Man Wonderland. The next mention I have is Claren Harp as Hibari Ginza. She's had more staff roles than acting credit, but this crazy cop is just really out there, obsessive, and funny a good amount of the time.
Self-defense, self-defense.
Out of all the other actors in this series, the biggest props have to go to Christopher Ayres as Choji Suitengu. I don't really think I've seen much of him aside from Dream Eater Mary, but as Suitengu, he's a very distinguished villain, willing to risk it all to achieve his goals. Ayres plays this wonderfully with a mix of vengeance and suave that you can't help but love.
Ladies and gentlemen, valuable patrons of the Roppongi Club, welcome to a night of decadence and desire.
Sweet Tango.
Tonight we have a man who seeks the blessing of the goddess and fulfillment of his deepest want. And like all who climb the steps of her altar, he is willing to put his life on the line. Will his anointment bring ultimate pleasure or pitiful death?
Earlier, I didn't really try to explain the story very well because I didn't really know what it was trying to do. However, Speedgrapher does have a very strong theme that they use very well, and that's the idea of greed and corruption in our society. Now, personally, I'm not much of a sexually charged person. I don't like talking about those kinds of things with other people, and I have no interest in erotic magazines or novels and porn. It just makes me feel very uncomfortable. Going into Speedgrapher, I knew straight away I was going to be extremely uncomfortable during those specific types of moments. The thing is, the more extreme those sexual moments of the show were, the more uncomfortable I got. However, you only ever see these kinds of scenes with the CEOs and politicians that were involved with the Roppongi Club. This helps drive the overall theme even more and turns those of high standing into the bad guys. This gives Speedgrapher a really mature theme at its core and uses those extremes in order to get it across. Overall, what Speedgrapher lacks in story and in main characters, it makes up for a very strong theme and villain. If these didn't exist, then the series wouldn't be as good to sit through. Speedgrapher is not for everyone because of its big, mature content in the language and in the sex scenes, and I don't recommend any younger viewers to watch it. If you're old enough, however, I suggest streaming it before buying it. The first 4 episodes alone have enough of that mature content that will help you decide whether or not you want to keep watching it, or you're just going to be turned away and you're going to drop it on its head. This isn't one of Gonzo or Funimation's best works, but the content is fairly strong that it's worth a watch on its own. Well, that's it for me. Next time I don't really remember what we're doing next. Oh well. Till then, otaku on, my friends. Can I please get out of these clothes now? I don't want to wear them anymore, and look at this makeup off my face. And I just want to take this off now.